everybody, and welcome back to Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath, and our featured matchup for the day brings us to the map Twisted Arena. And spawning in the upper left-hand corner as the green Black Hand, we have the legend himself, Technique. And sliding down to the bottom right position, his opponent for today as the pink GDI, we have eXs.bLoOd. And or eXs.bLoOd, whichever you guys prefer to call him. I'm just going to call him Blood. I think that's probably a little bit easier to say. I may call him eXs.bLoOd, we'll have to see. I'm bad about that kind of stuff. But anyways, it's going to be classic Black Hand v GDI. More than likely these guys are going to be preparing for the Inca Open tournament, which you guys can check out over on GameReplays.org. There is also a link to a website that's been created for the tournament by Inca Paiza, the community member that is funding it. So you can check that out over on GameReplays.org, or if you know Inca Paiza, hit him up and ask him for that information. He will certainly give it to you. But anyways, it looks like Blood going to be trying to desperately get in and around these scouts, looking to get a rifleman squad into the base of Technique, but it looks like it's going to be denied here by Technique. This could signal that it's going to be some kind of an early flame rush here out of Technique. Typically, when you look to anti-scout that hard, you do want to look to go for some kind of a flame rush, just get that early eco advantage, or at least force Blood to respond to it without knowing for a fact. However, he does get a pit bull out. Let's take a look and see. Technique, he does drop the operation center. It looks like it's going to be a second operation center. It's building too fast to be a refinery, so more than likely going to be a double Black Hand Reckoner. We do have the pit bull moving in here. No anti-scouting units here from Technique. Would have been good to keep a Confessor Cabal squad a little bit further down, so that way he could shoot up the squad as it got a little bit further out. But Technique now going to get spotted here. His Reckoner is known. Going to be taking a bit of damage here, but unfortunately Blood going to be taking a lot of damage to that pit bull, down to about half HP. But Technique wisely going to be reverse moving here. This is critical because those two shots here from the pit bull that have come in since they turned, it's been negated quite a bit because it's not taking damage from the rear of the vehicle. So very smart move there from Technique. The Reckoner is going to get shot up here by the watchtower from Blood. However, now it's going to get deployed. We need to see some kind of a silo drop here, but I don't know that Blood's going to get it out in time. It's going to be close. The refinery is taking a lot of damage. The silo needs to come in now. The refinery will go down, and now the Reckoner has gone down as well, and the Black Hand squads are going to try to go for the crazy desperation run to the top right corner of the map, and more than likely look to jump into one of the garrisons. But it looks like Blood's going to try to continue to chase them down. Could look to turn around and kill that pit bull, but it doesn't look like they seem too worried about it. Going to continue to get shot up here by more base defenses. So Blood continuing to spend money on these base defenses. I don't think that it's necessary that he drops that watchtower, but that's going to signal that Blood is going to move out with the remainder of his forces towards the base of Technique. In the meantime, what is Technique up to? It looks like he's got another couple of power plants down. Dropping a Hand of Nod as well, going to be looking to try to deal with this force. Looks like the pit bull actually did get shot up by the Confessor Cabal squad there, so going to be cleaning that up. However, a Rifleman squad will be spotting out that there will be infantry coming out here for Technique, so that more than likely will be enough to force those Predator tanks to fall back. Actually, it looks like the Predator tanks are down here in the bottom left. Going to bypass this Confessor Cabal squad, going to shoot it up a little bit on the way through, but those Predator tanks do very little damage, if anything. Looks like just some more infantry squads going to get cleaned up here for Blood. So that's the problem. He doesn't want to spend too much on these Rifleman squads going into the base of Technique because he knows he's just going to get obliterated by those Confessor Cabal squads. However, a couple of Predator tanks going to be focusing down this Tiberium Spike, may force a response out from Technique. He's already sending down a number of rocket squads to deal with this. We actually have a Harvester going to the blue tip as well. This is a little bit risky because that means that it's going to be spotted here by Blood, but I don't know if Blood actually has anything to deal with this. Command post is down, and Blood has dropped his second refinery back on his main field as well, despite having his build queue up on the expansion field. So this is prime one-click opportunity here for Technique if he can get up to tier 4 quickly enough, but I don't know that he'd necessarily want to. He'd most likely be better off clicking the expansion fields just because there's more eco on that field. Oh, but a Harvester did go down! The Harvester did go down! The Predator tanks managed to pick up a kill on that due to the fact that they were kicking around for so long. So very nice control there from Blood to pick up a kill on that Harvester. However, it looks like the Predator tank will get shot up here by some rocket squads, and that one will go down. So 2 Predator tanks for a Harvester, probably not great in terms of, dollar value to dollar value. However, denying that eco, especially blue tib going in for Technique, is pretty huge. So that's a nice pickup there for Technique. In the meantime, it looks like his Black Hand squad has claimed control of this bunker up in the top right, so he'll know exactly when Blood goes for that blue tib himself. However, double hammerheads coming out from these two airfields So should be very interesting. A lot of infantry coming in here from Technique. He is just spamming infantry, and you can see he's continuing to draft it as well. And he does have those Black Disciple upgrades, so going to be pretty beefy front line here for Technique. And I don't think he has any idea that these Hammerheads are out. Otherwise, I don't think this infantry force would be so far forward, because they're going to get eaten alive. AP ammo is about halfway done here, so it looks like Blood is going to have to commit with this half dozen Hammerheads. However, I think it's going to be enough to at least beat this force back. Technique realizing that he's up against Hammerheads and is going to be up against Watchtowers as well. He is going to choose to cut and run. The Predator tanks could have looked to draw fire, or at least force them to move as well if they went in for the crush move. And now Technique trying to micro in and out, going to manage to pick up one of the Hammerheads here from Blood. So nice trading there from Technique on the backside of things. However, Watchtower is going to continue to shoot that force up as they are running away. In the meantime, we have a couple of Scorpion tanks out here for Technique. Let's take a look. It looks like it is going to be Raider Buggies being transitioned here for Technique. Let's take a look and see what's coming out of this War Factory. It is going to be more Raider Buggies, so more than likely going to be seeing some Bike Buggy out to deal with those Hammerheads. He wants to keep control of the map here. Technique is in a pretty good position right now. He's got a decent-sized force on the map, and Blood doesn't have much in the way of eco here. He's got pretty oversaturation here on this field. He's got 6 harvesters, 2 refineries. That's likely just from losing the refinery earlier. Could be looking to send one of those harvesters up to the blue tib. However, it looks like he's grabbed some of that blue tib for himself. Meanwhile, Technique has not recommitted to sending harvesters down to the blue tib for himself. So a bit of eco advantage here maybe in the early game for Blood. But in the meantime, we have the Hammerheads committing into this force, doing a bit of damage to this harvester. However, now they're going to get chased down by this Bike Buggy force. However, the Bike Buggy are in pretty low numbers, and it's mostly bikes. So they're going to get shot up pretty easily here by this AP ammo force from Blood. And he's going to completely annihilate that Bike Buggy force, and that's not good from Technique. I don't think he necessarily needed to commit that much into that force. He just needs to be able to keep his harvesters alive. Yes, it'd be a little bit annoying just to take that damage on the front lines, but I think he would have been better off not committing that number of Hammerheads into that, or rather not committing his Bike Buggy into that force of Hammerheads, especially with AP ammo. But anyways, we do see more bikes coming out here for Technique. It looks like a tier 2 is back down for him as well. A lot of bikes, actually, so this is kind of interesting. No buggies out, so no real tanking force here for Technique. I'm kind of shocked at the choice here, because those bikes are going to get chewed up so quickly by those Hammerheads, but maybe going to be looking to go for that tier 3 look to get that Tib Core missile upgrade. Then those bikes become infinitely more powerful. We do have an engineer running across the left-hand side of the map. Not sure exactly what he's going to be doing. More than likely looking to try to steal away the Tib Spike here of Blood. And actually, we do have a couple of Ox transports being called in as well. And another Harvester going to be getting caught out here from Technique, going to the blue Tib. So Blood doing a nice job of catching these Harvesters. However, he does need to be careful. He is kind of drawing these bikes in to chase down these Hammerheads. And that's going to mean that these Ox transports are going to get spotted as well. Another Ox transport going to get shot down there, but the bikes are going to do a pretty nice job of trading out with those Hammerheads, and I think honestly that's going to be worthwhile for the bikes. Ox transport is going to deploy, but I don't think it's going to matter. Even if he manages to get the capture, the bikes are going to kill it. Oh my god, he almost kills his own Tib Spike. Holy cow. Technique almost focusing down his own Tib Spike in that situation. That would have been awful. Even when the engineer didn't get the capture, that would have been pretty embarrassing. Just the splash damage from those bikes focusing down the landing Ox transport. But Shadow tanks moving forward here for Blood, going to be shooting up this infantry. Not any supporting units. The Hammerheads are way out of position. These Shadow tanks are way too far forward without any support. They could have been so much more deadly had these Hammerheads been in position to support them. However, I think Blood just wanted to get in here and thin the inevitable infantry force here from Technique, which he has done. He has thinned this force pretty good here from Technique, but the problem is those Shadow tanks are expensive tech. They are going to go down, and those infantry can be rebuilt on pretty much no eco at all. Just so cost effective, those infantry. Now it is going to be ABCs with that AP ammo going to be spammed out here for Blood. Looks like he is still relying on these Hammerheads here, as we can see more of them being built. Looks like there is an Orca out on the map. Not quite sure where that is. Not sure what that's doing here. It looks like it's going to shoot up some of these bikes, and it's going to take down a few of those bikes actually, but it's going to go down in the mix. Not sure if they managed to catch a Harvester or not, but a couple of Predator tanks going to be going down there as well, as we did see some infantry in the mix there, but the bikes are going to commit into this force here. It looks like they're going to get themselves a Harvester kill, and now they're going to be taking a lot of damage from these Hammerheads. Whoa, way over commit here from Technique. Blood is going to just chew these bikes up, no problem whatsoever. Tier 3 is done, but no Tib Core missiles here for Technique. That could have been actually a very decisive factor in this fight. If those bikes had Tib core, those hammerheads would have taken way more damage and would have traded out at least a few of those hammerheads for those bikes. But anyways, Redeemer is out now for Technique. It looks like it is going to be double Saboteur Redeemer here for Technique. Kind of interesting. It looks like he just wants that to be able to run around the map and be able to take damage. It's going to be a little bit better against these hammerheads. However, another Harvester potentially going to be going down here. Technique, just the bane of his existence, these hammerheads. Every time he sends a Harvester down to the blue Tib field, it gets swatted here by those hammerheads. However, there is a blue Tib Harvester still floating around there, going to be looking to return back to base. But Technique is under pressure now. These hammerheads are moving in. It looks like there was a small force up here on the top side. The APCs have moved their way all the way around. It looks like Power Plant's going to be getting focused down as well, so the base defenses are not going to be able to do it. Tier 3 gets sold off here for Technique. He has no way of defending it. Tier 2 should be focused down here. Deny the base defense drops here from Blood. Also deny the tech as well. I think this is a missed opportunity here for Blood. He could have dropped down that tier 2, but he's just trying to clean up as much as he can. Can definitely look to clean up this refinery, is instead focusing down the base defenses. Looks like the blue Tib Harvester is going to survive. Probably the first one here for Technique, going to be surviving long enough. And it looks like the Scorpion tanks were just on escort duty. They're going to go down now as they are trying to run away. Nope, they are going to get away. It looks like they don't want to contend with the Mantis, the hammerheads that is. And the APCs on the run here going to be running down to the bottom left position. However, it looks like maybe one of them going to be going down. The Scorpion tanks are giving chase as well. I think between the Scorpion tanks and this infantry force, they should be able to keep it hemmed in. However, a Mantis is going to be trading out there with a hammerhead or two as well. However, we have more hammerheads up in the top right position, so the hammerhead's just so prolific on this map right now. APCs on the left-hand side going to get cleaned up. This infantry force is going to absolutely smash them down. They may trade out with some of the infantry. However, Harvesters now being picked off by Blood. Once again, these hammerheads just doing such a nice job of harassing the economy of Technique. Another Harvester going to be going down. Going to be trading out with a couple of these hammerheads, though. Two hammerheads go down straight away, and it looks like two more probably going to be going down as these Mantis just deal out so much damage with that Tib core defense upgrade, or Tib core missile upgrade. I don't know why I keep calling them defenses, but anyways, the infantry force here on the left-hand side for Technique has managed to clean up all of those APCs. However, Harvesters under attack again from these hammerheads. So much economy harassment coming in the form of these hammerheads. It looks like we have a heroic hammerhead by the looks of it. Let's take a look. No, it looks like it might just be the rifleman squad that's inside of it. I thought for a second that we had a heroic hammerhead. Wanted to check to make sure that I didn't miss something, but it is just the rifleman squad. They do rank up pretty quickly. Ooh, hammerhead stacking up really heavily. They're going to be taking a lot of damage, and a lot of them pretty heavily damaged. Going to have to return to base. If this Mantis had turned around and fired at that exact moment, it could have potentially been devastating. Another couple of hammerheads are going to get traded down. Not going to be worth it there for Blood. I think that was a mistake. Going to be committing into killing off that Mantis. As that's definitely going to be a cost-effective trade there for Technique. As you get into this stage of the game, those trades become so very, very important here. But interestingly enough, Blood not really macroing all that hard this game. I mean, he's done a great job to clean this field up. However, you can see Technique has already eaten this field alive without any trouble whatsoever. However, it looks like APC is going to get cleaned up. It looks like Hammerhead's still flying around here. They may have caught another Harvester in the mix while they were flying around, but still looking for an opportunity to engage. They are going to catch a power plant, an upgraded power plant at that. They are going to drop the power, however, instant power micro from Technique. Great control there, but Blood doesn't overcommit. He pulls the Hammerheads back. In the meantime, what's going on down on the bottom side? It looks like just infantry standing on Tiberium. And it looks like the Hammerheads are going to try to return to base. Harvesters once again under pressure here. Shatterer tank's going to be looking to focus that down, and a couple of Predator tanks going to focus it down as well. So Technique has just lost so many Harvesters. Oh my god, has he lost all of his Harvesters? No, he still has one. Does he have any down in the blue Tib? No, he doesn't. But the Hammerheads have committed up here as well, so a bit of supporting forces here, but a Rage Gen comes off from the Redeemer. Pretty significant Rage Gen as well. Going to be locking down this entire force, and going to be taking them out pretty swiftly here. The Hammerheads not willing to stay and commit into this fight. They realize they've taken down the Harvesters. They've pretty heavily damaged Technique in the terms of economy, but Technique just playing the macro game so well. He's known that he needed to expand it down to this new Tiberium field here, and that is so much economy down here that it's definitely going to be worthwhile here for Technique. And now a couple of Predator tanks going to be getting caught out here. Just a bad pathing mistake here from Blood. Maybe not expecting that amount of infantry here from Technique, realizing that he's just done so much eco harassment. But a Harvester will be docking there. That is the only Harvester for Technique, so very important. I don't think that Blood has actually established that that's the only Harvester left here for Technique. If he killed that, he would force Technique to probably sell off quite a bit of his infrastructure in order to rebuild a harvester or even get another refinery out. So not going to matter too much, though. We won't dwell on it. Base defenses here are going to be defending their mothership, the operations center. That is what's going to be allowing Technique to build more of those base defenses. However, power plant gets shot up. The base defenses are offline. He's going to force sell the operations center there. So very nice control here from Technique to realize where he can fight and where he can't. Going to be selling up those buildings, get as much money back as he can, as opposed to just straight up losing them. So making the best out of a bad situation there. Technique going to be getting away with that. So now Technique is being allowed to do whatever he wants here on this field. We need to see the Hammerhead aggression here on this field before the Tib Core base defenses can be spammed out more by Technique. More than likely going to be looking to rebuild that tier 2 as soon as he gets another refinery down. And this is the trouble. Technique needs to get out some more refineries. He needs to get his refining capability back online. Harvests are going to be stalled out there for a second. More than likely, Technique going to be getting it back to work here any second. There it goes. So only downtime for a second or two. In the meantime, Technique does still have a huge infantry force. It looks like the remaining SAM turret is going to get shot up here. Radar scan comes in, reveals that there's nothing up here. I'm kind of shocked that Blood even scanned this. He knows that there was no base here. I would have thought that that scan would have come down over here. But maybe thinking that Technique has a base still up in this area, maybe thinking that the MCV would have been over here and that radar scan would reveal that, but not going to be the case. There is absolutely nothing on these two fields aside from just this SAM turret, and interestingly enough, Technique choosing to repair that, that's just a money sink because these APCs will eventually kill it. However, finally the Tiberium Spike going down for Technique. In the meantime, power plants on the outskirts going to be getting caught off by Blood, and this is really good. This is exactly what he needs to do. He's managed to catch out the power infrastructure here from Technique, not committing in though when the power is down, realizing that that Technique could just power micro that stuff offline, could power down some refineries, maybe even his war factory, get those base defenses back online, and that would be a huge bait. So Blood just going to be trying to clean up whatever he can. Unfortunately, doesn't get enough shots off to kill that power plant, but luckily doesn't trade out any hammerheads for it. In the meantime, we have more infantry coming out here for Technique. He should be able to get his harvesters down to the blue tib. It looks like there is just a lone damaged Predator tank there from a bit earlier on in the game, just going to be kind of holding its position there. Black Hand Squad camping out next to Blood's Tiberium Spike should be looking to grab a garrison, maybe look to kill that Tib Spike off. I'm kind of shocked that the Hammerheads haven't responded to this yet, but I think Technique has forgotten about it as well, so not going to matter too much for the time being until Technique realizes that that Black Hand Squad's there. He must realize that that's there. He's likely sent that down there to kill that Tib Spike. Infantry going to be joining his harvesters here, realizing that those Hammerheads have been the bane of his existence. He's going to send some support here for these harvesters. Taking a little bit of damage there, but it's not going to matter too much now. Those two harvesters should be able to mine away on that blue field without too much trouble. In the meantime, it looks like Blood has expanded. He's dropped a refinery on the blue field here. One harvester is pulled off the line. Not quite sure what this harvester is doing. That's lost time here for Blood. It looks like he does get the de-garrison on this force, and the looks like the Black Hand Squad was cleaned up as well. So Tiberium Spike not going to be going down there. Pretty heavily damaged for Blood, though. In the meantime, both of those harvesters coming from the blue tib are going to get a full load there. And in the meantime, we've got full saturation on this green field. Technique could even look to drop another refinery here, potentially one up here or one even over in this area here. However, it does get him a little bit further than his base defenses would normally reach. It would only give him the base defense radius of those refineries. However, War Factory coming down now for Blood. And again, this is the problem. Blood has had pretty much good map control for the majority of the game, but he just hasn't macroed up enough. He's got his refineries down now. He should be doing pretty well on production for the time being. We have a lot of Shatterer tanks out, but these are pretty squishy units, and they're going to go down really quick in a fight. It looks like we do have beam cannons going to be coming out here for Technique in response, realizing that he needs something that can hit from long range. And actually, this could be pretty deadly if Technique decides to go for some kind of a base push, maybe look to go for a second MCV and move around and use those Tib Core base defenses to keep his... Ooh, actually, that would be really nasty if he chooses to go that route. We'll have to see. Blood is going to try to do whatever damage he can here to Technique, force those harvesters to be pulled back. But it's not going to matter too much here. There's just too many rocket defenses here from Technique or Blood to commit in with those Hammerheads. The Shatterer tanks should be looking for maybe an opportunity here to commit. However, there's nothing to really deal with that Redeemer right now. And with a double repair pad, it's going to be pretty difficult to kill. And the Rage Gen is always that looming threat here from that Redeemer. In the meantime, it looks like the blue field here from Blood has been completely cleaned up. That Harvester's still off the line. Blood, unfortunately, completely forgotten about it. It's pretty easy to lose track of those things, though. Every once in a while, should be panning around and looking for those Harvesters. But, again, Blood is a much better player than I am, so I'm not going to criticize him at all. Anyways, we're seeing a lot of infantry being spammed out. It looks like base defense is being sold off. Drafted squads here going to be coming out from Technique, dropping more and more power plants. This is really smart here from Technique as well, dropping plenty of power around his base so that way if those hammerheads do try to commit in and look for an opportunity to take down the power and then start slamming away on the base, it's not going to power down all those base defenses. And now we have Shatterer tanks coming in from the north. It looks like hammerheads moving in, and from the south we also have APCs moving in from the east. So a very strong offensive here coming in from Blood. However, these Shatterer tanks not going to be really doing all that much. They're only taking down base defenses and some small pockets of infantry. In the meantime, the Hammerhead's going to be trying to kite this out. APCs have been absolutely obliterated without doing almost anything, and now the Hammerheads are going to get shot up here by the Tib Core base defenses as well, and it looks like the Shatterer tanks have been stopped entirely in their tracks by this Redeemer. Rage Gen goes up, but they've already been given a move order, so they're not going to focus each other down. Juggernaut's coming out from Blood now, so unfortunately, a lot of that mass up time by Blood has been thrown away here, as we saw all of the APCs go down, a number of the Hammerheads going down, and a fair number of those Shatterer tanks going down. It was a nice multi-prong offensive there from Blood, just unfortunately wasn't able to work. MCV has moved out here for Blood. He's got a stealth base top left corner. I don't think Technique has any idea this is here. However, he might spot it here in the near future. Shatterer tank's just going to clean up some stray units. It looks like a number of Mantis actually going down there, but the Marv is now on the run. No garrisons just yet. Honestly, throw anything and everything you've got into this Marv right now, even if it's just infantry. Get something in there, allow it to do some damage against this infantry force. And it looks like beam cannons are coming in. They're doing quite a bit of damage to that Marv, and this is the problem. There's no response to those beam cannons. These Hammerheads can't commit too far forward, and the MCV has moved far forward enough. I don't know if he's got range enough to build base defenses out here. He does have enough range to build base defenses. That's going to mean that these Hammerheads can't engage into this force. However, the Juggernaut's mistakenly getting a shot there. It looks like the epic units here for both Technique and Blood have gone down. However, that's not the main damage threat. The infantry is the main damage threat here for Technique, and he's just got so much of it. He's got so much of that infantry, and it's continuing to press forward, focusing down these Juggernauts. In the meantime, these beam cannons are being left to their own devices, focusing down these sonic emitters so quickly. The sonic emitters really being the crutch here for Blood to try to hold off against this infantry. All of the Juggernauts have been focused down. The Hammerheads just waiting in the mix, not quite sure what they were waiting for. However, the Redeemer, or rather the Reclamator hub, gets focused down instantly. Unfortunately, tries to get the sell-off, but gets $0 back, which means it was just too heavily damaged. And sniper teams are out here for Blood. It looks like he drafted them. By drafted them, I mean he called in the support power to get them in, as we do see them both veteran squads. But the beam cannons in just fairly significant numbers here, trying to focus down the production structures here from Technique. And in the meantime, Technique has moved forward enough. No, he actually hasn't moved his MCV at all. Just continuing to drop more of those SAM turrets. And just keeping, this is the thing, keeping those beam cannons within range of these SAM turrets just makes these Hammerheads completely useless, and nothing else can really get into range. Those Juggernauts would have been pretty much the only thing. However, now they're just not able to do anything. A couple of Harvesters pulled off the line here, need to get back to work, send them back to an older field, get them harvesting again. So not the greatest macro play here from Blood that we've seen, but great offensive here from Technique. Going to be moving out, putting a lot of pressure on Blood. Doesn't get the kill shot, but I'm sure he's going to be feeling pretty good about that. He has tier 3 now as well, and it's going to be getting himself another Redeemer engineering facility. So more than likely what that tier 3 was for. I don't think he cares too much about getting any obelisks down, doesn't need to be building any purifiers or anything like that. I think he's okay with what he's got for right now. However, again, no refinery on this field yet. Blood's had this base for so long. I realize he's had to try to defend against those forces, and he's pretty strapped on eco, but I think this game could have gone very differently for him. He's had such control of the map for such a long period of time. You should have had pretty much all 4 of these fields saturated with the Hammerheads playing defense here against any straying forces, but now Technique has just got his number. He knows to move this MCV around. He hasn't even had to move the MCV. These base defenses being dropped in such a good... This is such a good spot for that con yard. It's so easily defended against ground offensives because he's going to have base defenses in and around this area, and he's also got the natural defense of this set of bridges here. But a couple of those beam cannons going to be going down just outside of their safety net, and that's the thing from Technique, is he needs to be safe, doesn't want to commit those too far forward. It looks like there was... We did see Decoy Army coming off. Not sure where it went, though. The Decoy Army came off on these units, but it's not, I don't know, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Again, I don't think Technique has any idea that there's a base up here. Huge eco here from Blood right now. He's done a great job of massing up this eco. He knows what he needs to do right now, and he needs to get that eco established very quickly. Harvester's still rallying around the map here for Blood. It looks like he's lost his refinery here. More than likely, that's what those beam cannons were committing to attacking. MCV is on the move once again. It looks like the Redeemer does have a Black Hand Squad as well as a repair pad. It looks like a Zone Trooper here going to be trying to kill off some of these SAM turrets, but going to go down here after Technique realizes it. Let's take a look down on the bottom left. It looks like Harvester is being harassed once again here for Blood, and this is actually really good. He needs to kill off these Harvesters, but needs to be careful not to lose any of those Hammerheads. However, now he's getting pressured in his base, and the problem is he doesn't have anything to deal with these forces because the MCV is coming along for the ride, and he can just continue to defend this MCV with those tip core base defenses. Just nothing that can punch through them. There's just no ground force. The airfield has been killed off here for Blood, and he's rebuilt an airfield up in his new main base here. Construction yard's still pumping away here, more than likely going to be looking to get some more production facilities online. Really need to see a War Factory down. War Factory is down now. He does still have Tier 3. More than likely could look to sell off the Tier 3. I don't think he's really going to be building anything with it. Can't honestly afford Sonic emitters at this stage. And really needs to rely on these Hammerheads as the anti-infantry. Interestingly enough, sells it off, so he must have just realized that it was still there. But going to be selling up these random bits and bobs of his base. Could have sold off that refinery, realizing that there was really no way to save that. However, he does still have control of his tib spike. He's had this pretty much the entire game, and Technique has done nothing about it. This would be an opportunity where Technique could steal that tib spike away from him. However, I think he's under the impression that this game is pretty much over, and he would be right. Sniper teams sitting here from Blood. It looks like he's forgotten about them. There are 3 sniper teams here, 3 veteran sniper teams. They're all going to get spotted now, unfortunately, and they're going to get shot up. They might as well just turn around and fight. There's no real reason for them to run. Actually, no, they do get out of range, and they might be able to fight for a little bit longer. However, beam cannons continue to focus down these random structures that are left around the map here for Blood. More than likely going to focus down this Harvester, and then going to turn their turrets on the refinery. I think the jig is up now. Technique must realize that this base is up here in the top left position, realizing that there's just nowhere else for Blood to be on the map. And no, actually, Technique doesn't see what's going on here in the top right, maybe thinking that there's more base up in this top right position, but he's just going to continue to sweep around the map right now. It looks like there is a fair bit of infantry here down at this Tiberium spike. Maybe looking to snipe it. I'm not quite sure why there's such a large mass of infantry. They could definitely be up here. It's kind of an interesting choice. Actually, he does commit to killing off the Tiberium spike now, so a bit late to get that tib spike, but it's okay, as it's at the stage in the game where that tib spike is really going to be pretty effective here for Blood, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. There's just too much overwhelming force here from Technique, and just no answer to this base push with the beam cannons for support being able to hit from distance. There's just no long-range threat here from Blood. He would need to get out Juggernauts, but he just has no path to get to those. He's struggling for eco, and he needs to produce those units. Does he have EMP grenades? He has EMP grenades, so he's going to look to try to get an EMP on the Redeemer. However, Rage Gen goes off, gets all of the forces. Oh my god, that was a huge Rage Gen. Any chance for Blood to come back in this game, I think, was thrown away in that instance. However, there are a large number of these Grenadier squads that are still alive. However, they're getting focused down now by the Black Disciples of these forces. Gets 1 EMP off on the Redeemer, but absolutely no damage done to that Redeemer just yet. Infantry force going to be swarming in from the top right. We have infantry coming in down from the bottom left. We do have a fair number of Hammerheads up in the top right position. Not quite sure what they're waiting for. Looks like they will be able to catch this infantry force kind of out of position. However, not all of the Hammerheads actually reacting to this. Looks like they're just actually auto-attacking. And I think Blood might just be scratching his head, wondering how this game went wrong. But maybe just not knowing the answer to these beam cannons. This is just such a good unit composition here from Technique, and it's just worked so well. It's caught Blood with his pants down. He has no way of dealing with it. The Juggernauts were really his only hope, and he just has no way of rebuilding onto this stage. So I would imagine it's GG here for Blood, unless he's got some kind of a miracle engineer into like a commando move here, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be the slow push to victory here. Blood desperately trying to focus down whatever he can here. I'm not sure what he's focus firing on. He's focusing on the Redeemer with those Hammerheads. I had to catch my breath there for a second, and could have been focusing down the infantry, but it wouldn't have mattered. The Redeemer would have been left alive. Either way, I think Blood is dead. It's pretty much just waiting out the tossing of the towel. But the Harvester is going to be called in to the front lines here for Blood. And he is out for Blood. He's just not willing to give up on this one. The Harvester, the only remaining unit on the map here for Blood. And he's going to make Technique fight for it. He's going to make him move in and kill off that last refinery by the looks of it. He says, hey man, I'm just going to pad these stats. Let me grab some of this eco here before I die. And it's looking like this is going to be lights out here for Blood. Looked so good for him for so long, but as that refinery starts to whittle down to the heroic rocket squads here from Technique, Technique will claim the victory. So a pretty long fight here in this game, very drawn out actually, 30 minutes and 55 seconds. Again, Blood had really good map control, but just wasn't able to macro behind it. I mean, he was doing a great job of trading as well. Those Hammerheads just doing such a fantastic job of picking off those Harvesters headed to the blue tip field. He must have caught them like 3 or 4 times, Technique sending Harvesters by themselves to the blue tip field. And there just didn't seem to be a mobile answer to the Hammerheads. He tried to go for Mantis. They were doing an okay job of trading with those Hammerheads, but even then, they were still getting picked off pretty well. But I think he traded enough to keep those Hammerhead numbers down enough to prevent Blood from being too strong with the Hammerheads and just moving in for the kill shot. But either way, I don't think there was a chance for Blood to really move in with those Hammerheads because there was just so much in the way of anti-air defenses from Technique, and with those tip core upgrade, it's just so strong. So very, very good game. Technique comes out on top. It's almost a 31-minute game, so a very long game. And you can see, again, this is going to be skewed a little bit here by the fact that Technique did spam man spam. So the infantry number is going to be throwing this off, but we know that that Blood was definitely trading a lot better in the early game. Technique doing a much better job in the later portion of the game as he transitioned into that beam cannon and infantry composition with the big frontline tank of that Redeemer and taking his MCV along for the ride. So Technique just knew what to do in the later portion of the game. Low eco, gets himself into a position like that against Hammerheads. He knows not to panic, just kind of bunker up, get himself into a safe position, and just eco out of control, and that's exactly what he did. And then he figured out the unit composition that Blood just couldn't answer and manages to run around the map on him. So very, very solid game from these guys. Let's take a quick look at the resources graph. Actually, let's see what the ending difference was. So only a 5,000 credit difference here, plus or minus. It looks like about 5,500 credit difference here between Technique and Blood in favor of Technique. And Technique actually had the eco advantage throughout the entire game. So again, I think this is what we're talking about in terms of macro play. Technique just knew how to eco better than Blood did in this game, and he just did a better job of it. Obviously, having Harvesters pulled off the line doesn't really help all that much, but I don't think that was the determining factor. It was just simply having map control and being able to eco with that. Technique, granted, he didn't necessarily set down eco as he was kind of moving around the map, but I think he realized that he had Blood by the neck at the end of the game. So anyways, that's going to be it. Very, very solid and very interesting push and pull game, but very good effort from both players. Blood, great effort with those Hammerheads. Some of the best Hammerhead play I've seen in a bit. Just not getting baited into those anti-air defenses when the power was down, knowing that Technique would instantly power micro to kill them off, and just doing a great job of harassing the eco as well. But again, Technique knowing what to do to come from behind, also very impressive to watch. So very good game from these guys. Hope to see some more games coming out from them in the near future. But anyways, that's going to be it for me today, folks. Let me know what you thought of the video. If you enjoyed the cast and or the replay, be sure to head over to GameReplays.org and give this game a wub. The link is down in the description. But anyways, that's it for me, folks. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.